This is Alan Hickey.
And it's 24 minutes away from 2. Hope you're having a very pleasant Monday afternoon. Well, as we said earlier, Holden closes its Elizabeth plant next week, and it'll be the end of an era, won't it, for car making in South Australia. Toyota, of course, shut its doors in Victoria last week, and the numbers also up for Ford. Now, the end of the car manufacturing hasn't come as a surprise, particularly here for us in South Australia. So the question is, are we really prepared for what's about to happen? The kick, in effect, will come next. I think it's Friday week. The Holden plant actually closes its doors. Steve Ludlam is the chairman of the Automotive Transformation Taskforce, and he joins us now. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, thanks.
Thanks for joining us. We knew this was going to happen, as I said. How many jobs will actually end on Friday week?
Okay. So we've known since December the 13th, around about that time, 2013, that Holden was going to close. And from here through to next week, probably around about 2,000 jobs.
So there's still 2,000 jobs there?
Yeah, that's about right. Overall, we think around about 6,000, very roughly about 6,000 jobs since December the 2013, and about 2,000, or a little more than 2,000.
Right. So the major trend down of positions we've already gone through that, but that 2,000 is still a big whack, isn't it? To come.
Yeah, progressively we've gone down, but the South Australian government's had a very solid plan to mitigate the impact of that, and has done really very well. You know, there are a number of programs in place for workers to take up the opportunities to find new jobs, and for businesses, particularly businesses in the supply chain for auto, whether that was for Holden, Toyota or for Ford, for those businesses to gain some assistance and some support to diversify, move into the market. So the success rate has been, it's been enormous. You know, from where we thought 1 in or 2 in 3 companies would be leaving the supply chain, it's probably only 1 in 4 companies are leaving the supply chain.
So it's been that effective?
It's been very, very effective, yeah.
That's pretty impressive, isn't it? You started the Drive Your Future program, and that was specifically aimed at the supply chain workers, and that's where it's been really sort of coming to the fore?
Principally, we've been working in concert with Holden. Holden have had their own programs, so they've been dealing in-house, and they've done a very good job of making sure their employees are connected to job opportunities and prepared for new jobs. And then our Driving, the Future program is specifically for the workers in the auto supply chain, and we've done an enormous range of things, which range from, providing funding to gain a ticket for driving a forklift truck through to supporting families who are finding the whole transition really difficult in a program called Beyond Auto. I mean, very similar to Beyond Blue. So it provides a lot of well-being support to the family, not just the worker, but the whole family.
For those 2,000 odd workers, I think it's between 18 and 2,000 that are still there. What does their prospect look like in the short term? What I'm getting at, because they're at the end of the queue as far as getting out the door, have they missed an opportunity?
No, I don't think so. I think there are opportunities out there. If we look at the opportunities over a few years, here now and present, at around about 6,000 jobs in South Australia in the NDIS scheme, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, and they range, from people who can provide assistive technologies to mechanics and people who drive vehicles, people who do gardens and people who do family home maintenance, through to carers as well. So there's 6,000 jobs across a whole range. Shortly there'll be work in the, I'll call it the water business. The Northern Agricultural Irrigation System comes online in about 2019. I mean, that's a way off. But there'll be, again, a variety of jobs in that. And then 2021, more likely early 2022, there's 5,500 jobs in defence. So what we're preparing people for is to join those pathways to get to those jobs. So they may not get to a job in defence immediately, but they can start a job in one of the infrastructure programs that are around, like the Northern Connector would be an example, and, do that job, experience that job, do some more training, move to another sort of job. So the career path will be quite different and not be as long-term as it's been in the auto supply chain or in Holden itself. And but nonetheless, there's great prospects.
Is it likely the take-up of all of these opportunities will be greater for this final batch of workers coming out?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I think some of the workers will decide that they want a period. They've been working for a long time. They want a period where they think about what they're doing and, and just enjoy the time to be able to do that. And other workers will be more keen to get straight into it. So over the next, month to 6 months or slightly more than that, we'll start to see those who will be leaving Friday week, we'll start to see them gaining employment.
Mm-hmm. Now, those we're talking about that, 1,800, 2,000 directly out of Holden. What about the supply chain?
Out of Holden, it's more likely, it's less than 1,000 out of Holden.
Oh, okay.
And then the others are in the supply chain.
In the supply chain.
So when we bring the two together, yeah.
So the supply chain, people working in the supply chain, they can access all of exactly what you've been talking about.
They're the people who access the South Australian government scheme, and the Holden workers access a Holden scheme. I mean, after the 20th of October, that we're quite likely to merge the two and work together to actually deliver. But we're just working through how we're going to do that.
Right. Okay. Also in the studio we've got Steen Saurbrey, who's with Trident Plastics. Now your company is one of the supply chains that we've just been talking about. How have you taken this journey? What's it been like for you?
It's been quite interesting. We started diversifying a bit as soon as the GFC had started or finished. But we didn't really gain a lot of momentum until we got on this diversifying grant. And that sort of sped it up. It also helped with the banks. It was actually quite good, and we have grown about 35% per year for the last 3 years.
So you've grown 35% in the period that Holden, we've been waiting for Holden to actually shut its doors.
Correct.
That says a lot, doesn't it, about the ability to diversify. How have you done it?
Oh, like I said, we started the foundation of it earlier, but the money always helps and so on. So that also helped with the banks. And we then looked at products or niche products that other people either didn't want to do or couldn't do. So we targeted markets where nobody really supplied into those markets. And that made it easier, and there's better margin. For example, we're still doing a bit of automotive. We'll still do automotive after next week, but it's niche automotive, like for trucks, for imported cars, bumper bars that get crashed and so on. So, for example, Holden have just sourced a 14-year contract on us to do all the P&A parts and accessories for when they if you smash a car, you need a new bumper bar. So we will be doing. So
you'll still be supplying that
for the next 14 years.
Okay. Well, that's a big plus, isn't it?
It definitely is. Yes.
Absolutely. And is that for the whole range of vehicles that they're selling?
It was everything that used to be made up at the Holden plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
We are doing a bit of Lexus stuff, Toyota Land Cruiser, Corrado, a lot of imported stuff as well.
And as a result, you've also, as you said, you've had to go and chase work outside the automotive industry. What sort of work what areas have you gone into there?
So we're doing a lot of air conditioning stuff for climate air conditioning and rooftop. Yeah. And that's not just for local. They export a lot to America and other countries, so we're doing all the big plastic parts for that. The specific grant we got through the diversification scheme was more to make it go even bigger. So that helped us to get the biggest molding machine in the Southern Hemisphere. And together with that, we also bought some tooling and so on. So we got into large products, which is expensive to transport into the country. And so we're doing some of it is proprietary products. Others is custom molded for other companies, like wheelie bins and things like that. So
how much have you also been able to divert into the innovation side of things? You've obviously been going out and testing the market and bringing work in. But have you been able to get into that new area of your own innovation?
Absolutely. So that's we think about 45% is now proprietary products.
Right.
We got actually the biggest 3D printer in the States, so there's a lot of things we sort of do and develop and things like that.
You're the biggest 3D printer in the state.
Yeah.
Can you print a house?
No, not that. It's not that big actually. It's only about this area.
Oh, is it really only a couple of foot by
But
a
that's
couple of foot?
still, if you need anything bigger, it needs to go in the state. If you want it done without gluing it together.
Right. But I asked that because we do a real estate chat once a week with Toop and Toop, and a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the day will come where we can print our own house, a three-dimensional house.
They're actually doing that overseas.
It is actually happening. Yeah. We were joking about it. We didn't know it was serious. The future in your area is a pretty exciting place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because we've gone into niche and large products, there's transport prohibited. It looks very good for us, yes.
We're talking about the transformation from of South Australia after Holden closes on Friday week. Happy to take your calls, 8223 0000. And welcome back, 10 minutes away from 2 o'clock. Don't forget, after 2, we'll be talking about A Ride for a Reason, which is a great initiative to raise money for cancer research. We'll tell you all about that after 2 o'clock. But for now, though, we're talking about the looming closure of the Holden plant. It'll close its doors on Friday week. Of course, we've known about it for a long time, and we're having a look at some of the systems that have been put in place to prepare us for it. And happy to take your calls if you've got any comments to make. If you've been affected in this, give us a call, 8223 0000. Let's talk to Brian Weste. Now, Brian, you worked in the sector and you took advantage of some of the schemes that have been up for grabs over this to help steer you in the right direction. What's it been like?
Well, good afternoon, Alan. I've found the accessing the funds available through the Department of State Development quite easy to access. We had representatives come out to our workplace and I registered on the spot, but it's a very easy process to register. You simply go onto the Drive Your Future website and click on the register link and follow the rest through.
So how long have you been in this industry?
Well, all up I've been in the auto industry supply chain, I guess, for 31 years.
Right.
And the last 9 years have been with Hirotec Australia, and being a supply chain towards Holden's for all their doors and bonnets and boots and bits that open and shut. Mm-hmm. And, it's all coming to an end on Friday the 20th. But it's all good.
It must have been a hell of a shock, though, when that, there was a lot of speculation, wasn't there, about when it was going to happen and if it was going to happen, because there was all the federal politics about tariffs and so forth. But when it happened, we actually got given the date. Yeah. What did that do to the industry as a whole in South Australia?
Well, personally, I didn't find it a surprise, to be honest, that eventually things did go the way they are. And I can't answer for everyone else, but I took advantage of when this program came online over 12 months ago. Is when I first registered, and I've done as many courses as I can with the funding available, such as my restricted electrical licence, and in hand with that I've done my low voltage rescue training, basic first aid training, and a white card induction for the construction industry if I choose to go that way.
Steve, that's basically what it's all about, giving guys like Brian the opportunity to actually expand their capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the Drive Your Future campaign really covers a whole set of things like career counselling, skills recognition, training in business startup and advice for workers, and it includes the spouses, and all these services can be accessed. And maybe I could just give a little plug for the number.
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
1-800-774-010. And you can alternatively use the website Drive Your Future. That's all one word, driveyourfuture.sa.gov.au. And in addition to that, we've run a number, and including Holden, a number of job fairs, where the most recent one in Northern Adelaide was about 2,000 people attended that, where a lot of firms come along and say, there's opportunities that we've got for you. How would you like to apply for these? Are you interested in doing them? and the support that's given to, write a CV and actually prepare yourself for an interview is just there to be had.
And that sounds trivial, but that is such a significant thing, isn't it? Because as you say, Brian, how long you've been in the game? 30 odd years.
Well, I've been in the automotive supply chain for 31 years, but 9 years at Hirotec, so it's quite a while.
You haven't written a CV. You haven't had to write a CV for 9 years.
Well, that's right.
This is an ideal opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good opportunity.
Yeah,
exactly.
Something as simple as that.
Oh, it's simple, but many people haven't had to do it, and a number of people, for whatever reason, their digital skills are not as good as some other people. So we've been able to help them with the digital skills too, to give them a bit of training on using a computer, accessing a website, all those things that you need to do today to find a job that last time that many of them applied for a job they didn't have to do. Brian.
You said you jumped in pretty quickly. You were keen to sign up, so you signed up straight away. Was that the general consensus of all your colleagues, though, or did some guys just sort of hang back and say, not sure about this?
I think there's a fair percentage that did do similar to what I did, and there's also a large percentage, probably the majority, that haven't, as far as I know, registered at this stage.
They still haven't?
I believe so.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's, in my opinion, you've really got nothing to lose and everything to gain by doing it.
You reckon that's part of just the Aussie sort of thing? She'll be right.
It could well be.
I might get around to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, quite possibly, Alan.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure, and it baffles me, to be honest.
Yeah. So what would your advice be to guys who might be staring down the barrel, in the next couple of weeks?
Well, if they're staring down the barrel now for the next couple of weeks, go to the Drive Your Future website, register. It's very easy, and you've really, like I said, you've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain.
Steen Saurbrey, Managing Director of Trident Plastics, you're a classic example of the success of this program thus far. Your company, as you said, has grown, what did you say, 45% or something?
35%.
35%. Yeah.
Per year or number of years, correct.
But you've got another brag to give us. You've got another piece of equipment that we should know about.
Yeah, as part of the diversification program from the state government, it enabled us to buy the largest moulding machine in the Southern Hemisphere, so we can now make plastic parts nobody could do in this country only a year ago.
So the largest in the Southern Hemisphere?
Correct.
So how big's that?
It's, I don't know, it's probably about 40 metres long and...
Is that right? 6
metres tall and so on, and you can make a plastic part of 150 kilos in it. Goodness
me. That's a lot of plastic. We'll have to come and take a selfie in front of that. Steve, just to sum it up, there was a lot of naysayers. A lot of people said when this announcement was first made that this would be the end of South Australia. We're proving that if we've already... What were the figures again? There's about 2,000 still, but we've already... there's been already 6 gone. 6 jobs? About 4,000.
Yeah.
Presumably, most of those have been placed into new work?
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
Well, that's testament to the success of this program, isn't it?
I think there's a lot of job opportunities there, and the way that these particular programs have worked, the variety of them, have been making sure that it's the people that have come first, that the skills that those people have built up over very many years are not lost to South Australia, that they're repositioned to find new opportunities, and the new opportunities have been created. NDIS is one of those, as I said earlier, and agriculture is another one, defence is definitely another one. It's not that long ago that defence, particularly shipbuilding, might have all been done overseas. But the fight that the state government particularly had to make sure that it stayed in Australia first of all, and then in South Australia, I think was particularly well done. So the jobs are there, and let's get people connected to them.
Yeah, we've got to keep that glass half full rather than glass half empty.
Quite definitely. Yeah.
Just give us that website again.
So the website is www.driveyourfuture.sa.gov.au, and Drive Your Future is all one word, or you can ring 1-800-774-010.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, and we'll look forward to more great success stories in the future. Good on you.